This is NFA Talk, the show that talks about guns and gun rights, keeping you up to date with what's currently going on, from the newest guns, promotions, and events, plus how we're lobbying for your rights.
All right, we're back with another episode of NFA Talk. Hey guys, how's it going?
Really well, Jordan. Rick, good to see you.
Yeah, it's going good. Good to see you too, Sheldon and Jordan again.
Yeah, we've had quite a busy week. We're on the election trail, keeping an eye on things, and it's been getting crazy.
It's been a busy month. I mean, I know our efforts in working on this election have started months ago. I mean, we were preparing for it with our major campaign. We had some $400,000 budgeted. We had volunteers, boots on the ground, all working to make sure that Mr. Trudeau loses seats, maybe loses the election, and takes his minority away from him, and that we replace it with a friendly government that's going to help us. So here we are, hoping to see the election of the Conservatives, which is the only other party that can win. Nobody else is going to be able to take out Trudeau but the Conservatives and Aaron O'Toole right now. So we've got this weekend and that's it. Then it's the blackout and the voting takes place on Monday. And I've got to encourage all those people who are firearms owners out there to get out and vote. And make sure that you bring a friend, like-minded people to get out there. We've got to stop the Trudeau government. The word we've been getting from our people is that he has order in councils drafted that will ban all semi-automatic firearms and all handguns in the next go-around. So we're very concerned about that. We cannot afford to elect another Trudeau government. So make sure you get out and vote. How are things going where you guys are? Rick, what's happening?
Well, it's things are going good here. I'm in a pretty good CPC riding here. It's probably going to go blue, but I've been inundated with calls and messages over the past few weeks about where the Max Bernier's PPC party is going and what they're doing. And the way I've been answering it is people are basically fed up with the Liberals, and they're fed up with all politicians. So they're looking for something new, something to go with. But the way I've been answering it, our concern right now is to get the Conservatives elected. I know Aaron's made a few statements that concerns people, but you know what? Let's get him elected, because once we get him in, I'll tell you something, guys. The NFA is going to hold him accountable to all the promises he made. There's no doubt about that. This PPC is definite. This PPC party could definitely make some changes in some really close ridings across the country. Right now, there's a lot of close races, and where one or two votes could change the outcome. That would be very bad for us. We don't need another 4 years of Justin Trudeau. Basically voting for Max Bernier and the PPC party is a perfect storm for the Liberals. The Liberals have to be loving the party because they're taking votes away from us. I don't know. What are your feelings on that, Jordan?
I just want to clarify. We're going to hold him accountable to what he wrote down in his policy.
Exactly.
He said that he was going to review the whole Firearms Act, and really, I mean, there's no such thing as an assault rifle out there in Canada that was not banned after 1977, right? So we're definitely going to hold him accountable to that. In my riding, the Liberal candidates must be worried because they're really going off on Twitter and on Facebook with fear-mongering gun posts. Why is that? They're obviously scared, right?
Well, I saw Bill Blair was on Twitter talking about how Charles Zatch, our lobbyist, is clearly Aaron O'Toole's senior policy advisor on firearms, and therefore, there's evil. So I thought that was quite amusing. Bill Blair is clearly desperate, and he's probably really mad because of all of the advertising we've dumped into his riding to make sure people look at the Liberals and what they have done and their disgusting record of corruption and scandal, and make sure that they vote them out. And again, I want to emphasize the only way we're going to get rid of Trudeau is by replacing them with the Conservatives, certainly this time.
Yeah. So my question is, where's the fact checkers on this?
I block and
Charles is
ban
not
fact checkers.
Charles is not Aaron's advisor on this.
No.
We've lobbied Aaron, we've lobbied many MPs, but we're not the advisors, right? So where's the fact checkers? If it was the other way around, they'd be all over us.
Of course they would.
And the other thing is too, if the Liberals thought that O'Toole would go the way that some of these disillusioned voters think he might go, they wouldn't be slamming him every day. But they are hitting him hard with the firearm stuff every day. There isn't a day that goes by that they don't hit him with the firearm stuff.
I also noticed that there was a comment made in our comments from Stephen Jones about Obama and Clinton tweeting for Trudeau. They really can't be doing that. That's interfering with our election up here. People from a foreign country doing that's all very, very nifty that they would try to do that. But their own record isn't anything sterling. I mean, I ended up getting harassed by the American authorities as I left the United Nations in 2012 after being the subject of one of Hillary Clinton's secret emails, and wanting to know my status and find out about me after I delivered a scathing presentation at the United Nations on the Program of Action on Small Arms and Light Weapons in New York in August of 2012. So, I don't have a lot of love for the Clinton cabal. They're clearly out there and they're not our friends. And to see Hillary Clinton tweeting and congratulating, wishing Justin Trudeau well in his election, it makes my skin crawl, frankly.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be foreign interference?
Well, I think it's foreign interference if they influence how people vote. It looks to me almost like electioneering, and I think that probably could be construed as some form of interference. But I mean, they're welcome to do what we did and register as a third party way back in August when the writ was dropped. I know there's some others that have joined as recently as a week or so ago, and have decided to step up and serve as a third party too, and start handing out a couple of pamphlets and things on the eve of the election, and that's great. But we've been in this for the long haul. We designed and crafted our advertising thoroughly. Our social media efforts have been second to none. We're smashing it out there. Liberals are cringing every time they see our ads, because our ads are true. Our ads are verifiable. We can show that what we're saying is accurate information. Our cartoons are cutting and go right to the point. And I know that people are looking at this stuff. Jordan, you've been sending out a lot of this material. What's happening from your perspective in terms of our?
The reaction is great, and we've been targeting certain ridings as well and pushing these cartoons in different areas. And doing this, you never know the outcome you're going to get, because we're going outside the echo chamber, right? And surprisingly enough, we're getting great feedback. A lot of thumbs up on our social media, likes on our Instagram. Private messages are coming through, and they're saying, like, continue to fight. Great. We've got a couple. I'm not a firearms owner, but I do support you guys. That this is absurd what's going on. There's bigger issues in Canada, and like recovery, the economy, and here he's trying to go after the guns. Like, come on, right? So it's been great feedback, a great campaign so far.
I'd like to comment on that too. I was talking about the little bit of negative feedback I'm getting, but I'm getting a lot more positive feedback of what we're doing. People are saying, you know what? I drove to Toronto the other day and I saw your billboard. And our Eastern directors, our Quebec directors are saying, you know what? They're getting a lot of input from guys. We've got billboards that you basically have to read when you're driving by it. So it's working. It's working really good for us. Like I say, I'm getting a lot of feedback, and I'm sure the other directors are too.
I see George Pern was commenting about our radio ads. And George is out in Oshawa, Ontario, and he sent me a note the other day about these radio ads. And thanks for listening and giving us some feedback on those, George. I know we agonize over the content and the delivery of these things quite a bit to make sure they're hitting the right tone. And we think we've been pretty successful. And if you think so too, please let us know. We're hoping that the evaluation will be done on the 21st, when we can see what the numbers look like, and after all the mail-in ballots have been counted. There's something in excess of 5 million mail-in ballots this election. So that's a huge increase from, I believe it was something like 50,000 mail-ins before. But what with the pandemic, people are nervous about going to the elections areas. I know when I voted in the advance poll, I saw that they were limiting the numbers of staff. They usually have a poll clerk and an election officer together at a table. This time they just had an election officer, no clerk. So the one person was doing the job of two people, and it has to slow things down.
So what do you guys think? Is this a good thing or a bad thing that people are going to the polls early?
In my opinion, I think it's a good thing. I think in past elections, I've been around for a while, like Sheldon has, and in past elections, when people get out early, and a lot of people get out to the polls, they want change. That's my opinion on that.
I agree. An election where you have a heavy turnout in the early part of the election is usually when people are angry and they are getting out there to make sure that their vote will drive change. Now, it's a little tricky to measure it this time because of the COVID restrictions around the polling stations. It has slowed things down, and thus people aren't moving through as quickly, which tends to make the crowds larger. But I went to 2 major polling stations, and they were jammed. The lineups were out the door, and the parking lots were packed full. So it to me was a heavy turnout with lots of things going on.
Right. So yeah, no, I mean, the first day that the advanced polling was open, I was there. I snuck in first thing, in and out. As I was leaving, it was starting to get busy. So I mean, this is good. I'm thinking we're gonna have a good turn. I mean, it's hard to judge, and it's I don't want to jinx this, but I think Canada is really waking up, and we're gonna see a change on this.
Mm-hmm.
People are upset. People are mad. They want change, and hopefully the change will go our way with this one.
Well, they certainly don't want to see a Trudeau majority government, which is what this election ostensibly was all about. He called an election because he thought he could start running his little dictatorship a little more efficiently without having to go to the NDP or the Bloc to get their support on key issues. He's already had amazing powers with running the country with Parliament shut down pretty much. And he's gotten away with all kinds of things that would never fly. I mean, there's been no scrutiny by the various parliamentary committees. You haven't had to call witnesses. You haven't had to go there and testify. So he hasn't had to deal with any of that. He's just been able to rule by fiat. And this is not okay. And the last thing we need is him getting in again and us getting more orders in council to try and take away our stuff. Because I can tell you right now, people aren't giving up their stuff.
And he missed the one thing too. When he didn't get his way, he sued the Speaker of the House not to release the documents for the laboratory there.
His government is plagued with scandals, and it's somehow I get the feeling that the odd person just looks by that stuff. But I think people are starting to see that there's something going on there, and I just hope everybody just does a little research and look at some of those scandals and research them and see what they're all about. It's probably a little eye-opening when you actually get into it and delve into it.
Well, it's shocking. I mean, who can get away with traveling to a major lobbyist's private island on a free vacation pass, the Aga Khan? Who can get away with dressing up in costume and doing Bollywood-style dances on a state visit to India and embarrassing himself in his country? Who can get away with driving otherwise talented ministers out who he had put in positions just to appear to be accepting of various ethnicities and genders and so on, just because they have principles and wouldn't bow to his political objectives? Who can get away with leaving Canadians in the dirt in Afghanistan and our interpreters and people who supported our military over there? And this, it doesn't even get mentioned in any of the media or anything. I haven't seen anybody talking about Afghanistan. This huge commitment involved loss of life, damage to all kinds of Canadian soldiers and civilians who served over there, and it gets no mention. And this guy got a free pass on all of it. SNC Lavalin, just been scandal after scandal. The whole blackface debacle. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, you missed it. You missed a big one there. The asking Raybould to lie for him. That's a big one there.
Oh, I didn't miss that one. That was the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
Did we talk about the We charity?
No. Oh, and yeah, and money for me and we.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Right. So yeah.
Yeah. Asking the top lawmaker in the country to lie for you is not acceptable.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I can't say that her swath through our criminal code, which removed a lot of long-held rights and important sections of the criminal code that we relied on, was at all helpful. I mean, that stuff was wrong and it needs to be reinstated. I have no love at all for the liberalism that Minister of Justice brought to the Canadian Parliament. But, just because someone stands up to Trudeau doesn't make them a saint.
You're right.
I don't know, Sheldon. Is there any updates on the court case, the OIC court case?
No, we haven't got anything really new. I had some communication from our lawyer Guy Laverne about this recently. They're sorting out about the intervention, but I don't expect to see anything very dramatic very soon. But I expect all of a sudden we'll see a bunch of stuff happen. So we'll find out more about that. It's been a very busy time for all of us. The start of the school semester. In my day job, I teach at a community college. That work has been sort of getting my focus. Has this election, so I've been kind of running 24/7 with that. As I know you two have as well, and the rest of our directors and our staff. And it's really, really a heavy time. The election won't be the end of it. I mean, the lobbying and the efforts to try to organize and get Canadian firearms owners all pulling in the same direction continues apace right after the election. So we're going to be working on that. But I don't have anything really new about the court case. I'm sorry to say, it's I think Solomon Friedman said it best. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I was in to visit Cassie and Dave Premack today. I dropped by KKS Tactical just to see how things were going and pick up an accessory for mounting a scope on my daughter's rifle. But they seem to be in good spirits. The store was very, very busy. That's helpful. It certainly doesn't replace the losses suffered in the changes that the government has done to our firearms ownership and our rights. So hopefully we can keep that up. Robert Bracken is pointing out about Bill Blair's new ad defending his firearms bans. Yeah, well, I think we struck a nerve there, boys, with our board campaign, our radio ads, our digital media, the hundreds of thousands of dollars we've spent as a third party on this election. I think they've noticed. What do you guys think?
Well, I don't know. We came out with a big billboard on the 406 with Bill Blair on it, and he sends out little pamphlets. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Bill's preaching to the choir. He's just, I was on the road a bit today and hitting some gun shops and gun clubs, and the election's on everybody's mind, no doubt, and people are concerned. And past elections, I've done the same thing, but this election is definitely more on people's minds, and people are really, really wondering what's going to happen. So I think and they've been commenting about our stuff too, our cartoons, our billboards and stuff. It's nice to hear comments because we know we're reaching somebody out there. So it was good to hear that today.
Well, I think our latest cartoon is really a nice summary of the problem. It's been scandal after scandal, and people still support this guy. That's incredible. What kind of corrupt, morally deficient person would support that? I mean, really, it's liberalism really is a disease.
Well, I've talked, and I was on the road and I've talked to some liberals today, but a lot of liberals I talk to are old school liberals because their dad and their grandfather were liberals, and just, even one of my employees is a hardcore hardcore liberal because his dad was a liberal and his grandfather was liberal. You know, it just people need to get out there and do some research. You know, but unfortunately, that's part of the deal right there.
Well, an uninformed vote is the worst kind of vote. I mean, I encourage my classes. I don't tell people how to vote at work. I tell them that they make sure that they should get informed about the issues that matter to them, and they should get out and vote. That's important.
It's easy to do on the World Wide Web, guys. Just get out there and research some of these people and what they're all about.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true.
I
mean, Trudeau has lost a lot of support from Liberals too, and I've met some who were very, very strong Canadians and very patriotic who realized that that was not the team that they had signed on for. You know, they saw scandal after scandal, how Admiral Norman was treated, how the Jody Wilson-Raybould and Pillpot affair was handled, how these various self-interested little ploys that he does, you know, they just don't like that. They're very uncomfortable with it.
Right. You know,
there's a lot of firearms owners out there that are liberals, but I think they're starting to shift now. You know, before they were just you know, the issues and stuff, but now I'm seeing a shift because we do have some firearms owners that are liberals.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. You know what I'm finding funny now? I mean, iPolitics just released an article yesterday, or it was the day before, but it's regarding the third party for the elections, the advertising. Mm-hmm. The gun control people, they didn't even register this year. So did Trudeau lose their support?
It's hard to tell. Right. Hard to tell. I see the first president of the National Firearms Association has made a comment there, Billy Jones. Hello there, Bill. Good to see you commenting. And yeah, your point's quite correct. The Liberal Party of Canada is a cult. And appreciate all the work you've done all those decades ago getting all of this started for us. Thanks very much there, Mr. Jones. We're really glad to hear from you. Yeah, it defies logic that people would vote for these guys. It just amazes me. And the damage they're causing, the division in the country, the creating of these significant wedge politics that are driving the West into all kinds of very divisive politics. It's shocking.
All right, so I don't know if we want to leave it at that for tonight. I mean, we pretty much cross our fingers and hope for the best at this point. Maybe we'll come on right after the election, or maybe the following day once we get the results, and we'll see how our mood is then.
Well, I think so, and I think there's a lesson for the Conservatives that we should mention before we break, though, Jordan, and that is that the narrative needs to stop being one that is driven by the Liberals and their progressive friends. You know, you saw that debate. What kind of issues were brought up? It wasn't any issues that should be of interest to Conservative. I didn't see the economy. They talked about affordability, but where's the economy? You know, firearms control was thrown out by Trudeau as an attempt to start a wedge and embarrass O'Toole. It didn't work, but we've got to start taking over the narrative in this country again. Now we've got to make sure that this so-called big blue tent that the Conservatives have is really not chasing anyone away. And I think that's been a concern. That's why you're seeing some of these shifting to the smaller parties like Maverick and PPC a little bit. But that's coming back as people are going to walk into those ballot booths on Monday, and they're going to look down at those little names on their booth, on their ballots, and they're going to have to go, is this going to mean that Trudeau's going to be in again? Because that's the decision you're making. Is it, do I get Trudeau or do I get the other person who is going to replace him? And if you don't put the most likely party to replace the Liberals as your priority when you go into your ballot, you're going to get the Liberals. In effect, there's two parties that can form government, and it's the Liberals or the Conservatives, and that's it. And
remember, folks, get out and vote. Get out and vote CPC.
Yep. You got to go out and vote the Conservatives in. You've got to get those Liberals out. The Liberals are going to cause more damage to the firearms community and to this country. Our country is in peril. Get out and vote. It matters.
All right, so let's cut it at there. We'll be back shortly after the election, and let's hope we're in a cheerful mood. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
All right, all the best. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode of NFA Talk. Like and follow the NFA on social media and sign up to become a member.